Are you trying to make a living in Web3? Do you need marketing for your NFT project? Are you bullish on the Solana ecosystem? Then you're in the right place. My name is Trust. Today's guest is Jakey. Jakey is part of the top communities such as The Gods, Utes, OK Bear, Rascals, Stone the Ape Crew, and the Noti Gang. He is the co-founder of Noti Gang, which helps with the marketing on NFT projects. Take a second to like the video and consider subscribing to know more about the OGs in the NFT space. Cheers, man. Welcome to the podcast, the Bear Hug Radio. I've been wanting to interview for a while since I saw you like really active on Twitter, especially with the Stoned Ape. So I remember you asking on Twitter, since when have you been following me? So I really started following you more since the Stoned Ape crew. There was only you and Hub rocking those Stoned Ape that were really, really active. On top of that, the Solana space is so small, you know, like people that are active right now in the bear market, they have to know each other, they have to keep in contact and, you know, help each other out especially.
Yeah, now more than ever, right? I feel like it's like you're as early as you can possibly be. Like we coin and use that term a lot of like being early, but like it seems like becoming early is only becoming more relevant because of how many people are kind of leaving right now. But now's the time to build. So you gotta make do with what's happening right now.
You're in Ontario right now? You're at the lake?
I am. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, 15 feet from the lake right now. It's like a bunkie up at my mom and dad's house, right? So they got some property. The house is just over there. And this is like a detached like bunkie / cabin that I'm in.
All right. So I have a new segment. It's called 10 Fast. Okay. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions. You have to pick one and you cannot give any explanation. OK Bears or Stoned Ape Crew?
Stoned Ape Crew.
Hockey or soccer?
Hockey.
Burgers or pizza?
Pizza.
Degen Ape or Degen Flip Coin?
Degen Coin Flip. Yeah, Degen Coin Flip. I don't even know why I had to think about that. Sorry, go ahead.
Rascals or ABC?
Rascals.
Sens or Habs?
Oh, I don't like either.
It's tough choices, man. You got to make one.
Okay, the Sens. Fuck the Habs.
Big mistake.
Oh, no.
You know I'm from Montreal, so like
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're a big Habs fan. Fuck the Habs, I'm sorry. We have to keep this like rivalry going between us, between the Leafs and the Habs. So
yeah, no problem, man. That's why I was wondering, like, if the Leafs, they have like big hate for the Sens or something, but they're just kind of Mr. Irrelevant. Sorry.
Nah, my hate for Boston's bigger, so don't worry.
Yeah, same here, so it's okay. So lo-fi or blueprint?
Blueprint.
Robot or Coral?
Coral.
ETH or Bitcoin?
ETH. Shout out my ETH homies.
Okay. And Founders Coins or Boomboxes?
I don't know enough. Founders Coin.
Okay, that was a little brutal. It's just fun to like get to know you a little bit better.
I like that.
I think it's a cool little segment I just started. So tell me about yourself. Where are you and what do you do for a living?
I'll keep it kind of brief. I'm full-time Web3. I come from the Web2 content creation side. I did that for, God, I don't know, since I started skateboarding back in, I want to say like 2011, 2012. I'm 24 now. So I was creating content for a while. It first started off as skateboarding and then slowly kind of trickled into like the Jackass and prank style because I grew up watching Jackass and Steve-O and those guys, and they were always kind of like inspirations. I always wanted to, I was a professional attention seeker, right? So I did that for 6 to 7 years. It was kind of tough financially because a lot of these brands didn't want to sponsor videos of me shooting a pellet through my cheek or stapling my tongue or any of that kind of stuff. So it was kind of hard to find that balance of like, okay, how can I make this my job, but like also enjoy doing the content that I do? Because I didn't want to switch up to make more money financially and like change what I wanted to do kind of as a thing. And then I came across NFTs in September of 2021. And I just liked the community aspect behind it and the social status. I seen it kind of playing a role already in social media and like influencers. You had like FaZe Banks and some of these guys repping the CryptoPunks. And I thought it was interesting. So I started off on ETH. I didn't understand the whole gas fee and how that kind of works. So I think I got a little wrecked on that. And then someone had told me about Solana, how it was like super quick transactions, no gas fees. And I was like, well, why would I stay on ETH if I have things like that? You know, like I kind of enjoy this space. I understand like the tight knit community, and I like the feeling of buying into a new project and repping it and showing out for it. And so I was like, why not? Why would I not go to Solana? and I went to Solana. Like I came over to Solana. I never really went back. I kind of took the knowledge that I had learned in Web 2 content creation and marketing and branding myself, and took it over into Web 3 because I felt like the marketing had kind of lacked, at least on the Solana side. And I was able to take my knowledge and make it somewhat lucrative in this space. And it kind of felt like those 7 years or however long I was in content creation, just working, putting blood, sweat, and tears and dedication into my craft, was starting to finally see a payoff kind of here in Web 3. So it's been good. But I guess I didn't really answer the question of who am I, but that's kind of like my little story and little journey of how I kind of got into NFTs.
Yeah, what do you do for fun though when you're not working?
For the past year, man, I know a lot of people say this, but it honestly has just been go, go, go. It's kind of like I wake up, I sit on my computer for 10, 12 hours a day, working and trying to build, Bell Studios. We can get more into that, like Noti Gang, all the stuff that we have going on in Web3. But as for hobbies kind of on the side, I grew up, my first ever real passion, I would like to say, was probably skateboarding. So I still like to hit the skate park like every now and then. I like traveling. I like van camping. I took up like van camping. I think I bought a Honda Odyssey back in early 2021, transformed it into a camper van. I traveled the country of Canada all the way from Ontario out to Vancouver Island. I haven't got to do that very often just because it's hard to work full-time Web3 and be on the road driving. My goal in 2023 is to travel a little bit more in van camp. So yeah, those are kind of the two latest hobbies that I've done other than work Web3.
I thought it would be cool to take a Westphalia and like paint it like green and like write Wagwa on the side, and then just go from Montreal all the way down to Miami, do the whole circle around all the way to Vancouver, and every stop try to like interview someone from the Web3 or something. That would be pretty badass.
Not only would that be fun, but hey, man, if that's not bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3, I don't know what is. I think that'd be sweet, man. I think you got to do that now. Now that you said it out loud, I think you'll have more than enough time to do that eventually.
I think your streams are niche though. I think the DJ gambling. I think a lot of people, if they like gambling and they love like watching you either win a lot of money or lose a lot of money and think it's interesting and fun. But I think it's cool, man. I think I watched the last one where you won a lot of money. I was like, oh shit, that's pretty funny.
It's a big niche space. I mean, it was funny because we just had a trip out to Nashville where I met Brody and Ryder for the first time, which are my best friends within Web3 and also my business partners who I founded Bell Studios with, right? So it was really cool to meet them in person and just have synergy in real life and just like, it was just organic. But we were talking in Nashville and we're all like, DJs, gambling, like we have it up on the big screen and we're all just like gambling and stuff, right? And so when we're not gambling and we're just kind of like going to bed or chilling, we're watching like other people gamble on YouTube. And we're like, well, if we're just gambling anyways, like we're entertaining ourselves. I feel like when we're in our Discord server called DJ and On, why don't we just like try to stream and make videos out of it? It is very niche based, I've noticed.
Are you getting sponsored by Oak Paradise and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I've been pretty transparent that all my streams and YouTube videos, we have a partnership, a deal worked out, so it's lucrative for both sides.
Okay, cool. Because I know Jersey at one point had, I forgot which one it was. I think it was with DJ and Flipcoin or something. Like, yeah, he was using it a lot and streaming, and yeah, so it's cool. Let's talk about your Instagram. Like, this was basically your beginning. Like you said, you've been talking about your life or like documenting your life since you were 14. I guess it's the beginning of your popularity. Like, let's talk about which video, like maybe, why did you want to start this?
Do you mean like the crazy stuff that I did within Web 2? Is that what you mean?
Well, maybe at the beginning, like what made you start doing Instagram or post regularly enough that people like you grew out of popularity and stuff like that?
Okay, so social media in general. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, in high school, I was more like I had my friend group, but I wasn't like a part of the popular kids, but I always kind of wanted that attention and always kind of wanted to be like the center focus, whether it be within my friend group or just in high school in general. And so I think it really stemmed from just attention seeking. But I've always, even before high school, I was making, like I had said, I was making these skateboarding videos, and I always liked the extra parts of the skateboarding videos where it was like us just goofing around and us just having fun rather than the actual skate clips. And so that kind of led into just being an organic content creator. Like I was just editing videos anyways and posting them up on my YouTube. I just liked the aspect that someone could just stumble across my video, or my friends at school or my parents could go to my YouTube channel and just watched what I did that day, that was something that felt like just cool to me. And I think being able to see the final copy of a video made me feel like super productive and accomplished. And it was like kind of the only thing that I like actually put work into. Like, you know, in school, I just got by. Like I did the bare minimum to get by, get my diploma. I didn't go to college like out of high school because I knew I was done with school. So the only time that my effort was really like being spent on was these videos. And of course, these videos, you know, are posted up on social media. So I think the social media aspect of Instagram and stuff just played a role because I wanted to grow my audience. And, you know, to do that, I had to not only branch from like YouTube, but to Instagram, to TikTok and these other things. So, you know, the platforms, they've given me a pretty hard time, but, you know, without them, we wouldn't have the forms of content that we have now. We wouldn't have the creators and influencers and just overall like money flowing through the internet that we do now. So.
And what made you like decide to do like to hurt yourself basically, do those funny videos? And like, is it more for the views or like the extent, like try to grow? Was it lucrative? Like, was it good? Like, was it a good investment of your time?
Okay, so this is kind of like a two-part question. So for the first part, what made me kind of get into like the stunts and all the wild, like, you know, stuff that I was doing, it's pretty simple. I mean, with skateboarding culture is drinking, partying, like smoking weed, doing crazy shit other than like just on a board, right? It's a very creative like space, skateboarding is. And so I was posting these skateboarding videos and it was like, you know, mixed with us kind of like messing around in Walmarts and then, you know, tricks, and we would film for these full-length videos and stuff, but they wouldn't get any views, right? They would get like 20 views and it would be all the people that were around me, right? It wasn't like it was hitting the algorithm for new people to garner like fans and stuff like that. But then I think it was the summer of 2014, we had taken a skate trip to downtown Toronto. It was early in the morning. It was actually Go Skateboarding Day, which is the first day of summer. And I was trying this trick down, I forget, 8th day or something like that. And I broke my arm. I broke my arm like completely in half. It was pretty disgusting. There's a video of it online. And so, you know, we went to the hospital, got my arm in a cast, went back home. And the first thing I said to the buddy that was with me who had filmed it, I'm like, let's edit that. Let's post that right now. That's like, that's crazy, right? And so we posted it. The next day I wake up and it's got like 2,000 views, which, okay, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of views. But to me, I'm like, dude, I'm viral. Like, holy shit, dude, 2,000 views. Like, that's a lot compared to my 26 views. So in my head, something I don't think in that moment, but at some point I clicked like, okay, so people just want to see like crazy shit. And I was already like I said, I was inspired by Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville and the Dudesons. That's the type of content I watched and I consumed. So I'm like, if, you know, people want to see me break my arm, and then I also enjoy like the Dudesons and Jackass and these guys putting themselves through hell for other people's entertainment, people would probably like the same from me. And so I think that's kind of where the stunts and just being in high school, I was in grade 12, right? We were partying and stuff. And when you're partying, drinking alcohol, you're already kind of like above that line where like, oh, dude, I could go jump on this table. I could go smash this beer can on my head. You're already kind of like in that state of mind of doing, you know, being wild. So I think that also played a part and kind of upped, you know, the ante of like what I was already doing. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into doing stunts nonetheless. As for it being lucrative, not really. You know, there's a few times here and there, but I worked a 9-to-5 job to fund my content creation. Everything that I made in my 9-to-5, whether it was at the burger place I worked at, the warehouse, you know, opening, like taking skids and breaking down skids and stuff, all of that money went into my content and investing in my content. So, and the problem is with, at least even today, and it's progressively getting worse, these social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok, they have really strict guidelines, right? And you could find little loopholes, but that only works for so long. And so they kept taking down my Instagram. They took down my YouTube at one point. They took down my TikTok, which had like 2 million. And so it got to a point where it was really demotivating because everything that I was posting, everything I was putting effort into was just being taken down. Nothing was to show for it. And luckily, that's where Web3 kind of, you know, saved me, came into play, and I could take the knowledge that I had learned, not the stunts and stuff, but the knowledge of like building a brand, understanding impressions and engagement on social media, all those kind of like little gimmicks that come with social media, I was able to take over into Web3. So no, it wasn't super lucrative, but I enjoyed doing it for as long as possible. It was a passion of mine, was creating the content that I created.
I was wondering, like, how, like doing those stunts, how did it grow, like your following? Like, did it grow a lot? But if you're talking about getting
Yeah.
demonetized and getting like taken down, so all the work that you did, and then you get like taken down, you have to restart over. How many times did you like have like get canceled or have to restart over like one of the platforms or something?
So there's like different forms of like cancellation that like kind of stunted my growth as a creator, right? So like, of course, you have these like weird shadow bans. I'll target Instagram, for example, because Instagram is kind of where like the hub was for me. Like YouTube was always the goal, but Instagram was how I filtered a lot of my like supporters and just, you know, new fans or whatever to YouTube, right? So Instagram, you had like the shadow ban, where a shadow ban is where you know, for example, you search up my name and I don't pop up, or you're scrolling on your feed and you don't see my post. The only way you physically see my post is if you go to my profile and see the new post, right? So it's already hindering the growth of that post. So I was like permanently shadow banned. Like that's what it felt like. Maybe that's not what it was, but it felt like I wasn't being pushed at all to the explore page, right? Because at one point Instagram had an explore page. And then there's also suspensions and bans and terminations, right? And so I think I had my Instagram at least taken down twice. I had to pay both times to this like sketchy person I met on Discord to get my Instagram back. And then, you know, I toned it down on Instagram. Like I had to really like PG-13, like rate myself like on the content that I was pushing out. And so that was already hard enough because I was like, it's not what I wanted to put out, but I had to just abide by the guidelines, right? Because I didn't have the following to create my own platform. And so kind of what happened with Instagram happened with TikTok as well. It happened with YouTube. So yeah, dude, it was pretty hard. Like, you know, I feel like I get 2 steps forward and then 1 foot back, and then I get 1 foot forward and then 2 steps back. It just felt like it was like kind of like this reoccurring, you know, thing. So I don't know.
Must be demoralizing because honestly, like it happened to me on Twitter, you know, like especially during the mint season and stuff. Like I grew like crazy. I grew from like hundreds to like thousands. Like at one point I was like at 5,000, and I gained like from the OK Bear mint, I gained like 2,000 followers, and I was growing maybe too fast or something, and all these giveaways and posts and stuff like that, always retweeting, and I got banned. And then like I came back a few weeks later, got banned again, and I had to restart. And like I was doing nothing wrong. I was just posting, you know, like or retweeting and like entering giveaways and stuff like that. So it was like, shit, man, I have to restart from like 5,000. I'm just like, whatever, you know, I'm going to stay calm. You learn to like not do certain things, you know, like retweeting too much. I added like hundreds of people in one day. And then if you do that every day and stuff like that, you get to a point where they think you're a bot.
Yeah, Twitter's algorithm is weird. That's a whole different conversation, especially with Elon taking over and all these changes happening. It's felt like all the changes that have kind of happened have been like negatively affecting Twitter. I think that's like the overall sentiment. But I think long term, Twitter will kind of take over. If Elon does everything that he says he's supposed to do, you know, they have the ability as an already established social media platform to take TikTok's business model of like short form content and implement it on Twitter. They can take Twitch's business model of live streaming, implement it on Twitter, and already have the core base for it because it was already an established social media platform for the last decade, right? So Twitter's interesting. I've had my personal problems with Twitter as well. I mean, this isn't my first Twitter account in CT. I had NFT Jakey, but I think I was running these whitelist giveaways back in, I don't know, June, May, when Trippin' Ape and OK Bears and all these hyped whitelists were happening. And I was running those giveaways, and I think it had a ton of bots. And I think that's what kind of triggered for my account to be taken down at some point. I'm not sure. We never really found out. But nonetheless, it actually was kind of a blessing in disguise because when that had happened and I had my new account, which is Soul Jakey, I kind of made it like a new like path. I wanted to like kind of reinvent of just like this giveaway like promoter. I wanted to still make it lucrative for myself and offer promoting and promotions and marketing, you know, to pay the bills and stuff like that. But I wanted to make my mark and kind of create a path and really like take what I learned in content creation, like within Web 2, and apply it in here rather than just the branding and marketing aspect. I want to take my content side and apply it in here. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise.
So how did you do all these Twitter giveaways from all the big mints? Like, is it because you had a big following? Is that probably what helps? Or did you like cold call like a project and be like, hey, look, I'm Jakey, you know, I have like 10,000 subscribers. I'd love to give you. And how much did they really pay, if you want to disclose? And like, do they pay you in Sol, or do you just do it for free?
Yeah, I mean, I'm transparent about all the ads I do, right? I put hashtag ad. I follow all the laws that you have to, right? Because I don't want the SEC to come after me in, I don't know, 2 years from now, right? So yeah, there's a mix. I mean, when the hyped whitelist giveaways were running up numbers, I was just running them. You know, I had connections, you know, from being on Solana since, you know, September 2021, and a lot of these projects, you know, that people don't realize are people that have been around and have, you know, dabbled in creating projects before, you know, behind the scenes. And so I just had connections through a lot of that. And I was like, hey, let me run a whitelist giveaway for you. And because people would enter it because they wanted that whitelist. And of course, I offer promotions of like paid giveaways and stuff for projects to kind of boost their Twitter following. I mean, at the end of the day, like, what's the first thing you kind of look for when looking at a project? One, you look at how many mutual followers they have with you to see, you know, okay, are other people that are in my circle interested? And then you see how many followers they have. Okay, they have 100 followers. Chances are it's, you know, you're not going to pay attention to it right now. But if they have 10K followers, whether they got it from giveaways or organically just spreading the word of, like, you know, word of mouth, you're going to pay more attention to the 10K, right? So I definitely offered that all throughout, you know, that decent market, you know, where, you know, Solana from like January to, I don't know, August, where, you know, there was projects popping up left, right, and center.
Do you think it's like possible to like make a really good living off Web3? Like, what is like, what are you doing right now? Like, what is your like main source of income right now?
I think it's definitely possible now more than ever. There's so many unexplored things. Like, I've used examples of just like music. I feel like just the music aspect of like being able to offer your albums in NFTs, or just like the behind the scenes business of like music labels. They could use this technology so heavily, but they haven't yet, right? And that's what I mean when we say we're early. But yeah, I think full-time Web3 is the goal for everybody, right? Sorry, what was the original question?
Like, what is your source of income right now? Like to pay the bills, because like a lot of people, they have like a second job and then they do it on the side and stuff like that. Seriously, how do you pay the bills just doing things on the internet? Like, what is your sources of income?
I know it's an interesting concept, because the question you're asking me is something I asked myself in Web 2 for so long. How these people, because it felt like I was the only one going to a 9 to 5 every day when everybody was out chilling on their couch, smoking weed and making money. And I never understood how do these people afford that the lifestyle that they live, when I'm like working my ass off. I come home from my 9 to 5 and then I spend 3 hours editing a new video or filming a new video, right? I couldn't understand it. But, you know, in Web3, I feel like there's so many like opportunities, and I'll give you the more like common examples, because I feel like we could be here all day. But like just the aspect of being able to learn how to moderate a Discord, or to cold DM projects and simply offer them something with nothing in return. You could offer a project, hey, I'm doing collab management for this project, a quick little brief, or not even, I want to give this many whitelist allocation to your project. Nothing does that project, like OK Bears, for example. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is like, okay, we get whitelist allocation. Our holders will love this, right? So we post it up in our whitelist giveaways. So the fact of being able to just come in, cold DM, and be a collab manager and make money that way for a project, or moderate a Discord, is something like nowhere else you can do that. If you go and spend 10 hours learning how to build a Discord, you can make money that same week building a Discord for a new project that's coming out, right? And maybe not so much right now, because we're in a bear market, and truthfully, like, it's hard for everybody to make money right now, especially trading and just marketing, because there's no projects popping up. But when we're in a better market, how long have you been like in NFTs or Solana at least?
A bit more than a year.
A bit more than a year. So you've seen the market and seen how many new projects that are like, this, I've never even heard of this. Why does this mints tomorrow? Well, like, what? Why is everybody talking about this? I've never heard of it. And when that mint is happening, you have to remember that there's so many other people that have been paid to prop up that mint, or to manage the Discord, build the Discord, collab management, advising. There's this like all these opportunities that I feel like people preach about, but like if you really like dial back and use, especially right now during the bear market, to learn these skills, like you don't have to know them at all. If you can just like, you know, that's the beauty of YouTube. That's the beauty of Twitter. you can ask these questions. You slide my DMs, majority of the time I will answer the DMs if you have questions, right? And that's available at your fingertips. So I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity within Web3. And as for me, myself, Bell Studios, which is our marketing agency, we're beefing up our roster to hit all angles, right? So like content creation, marketing, advising, collab management. We have all of these pieces coming together so that, when the market does turn around, Bell Studios, there won't even be a question of like, if we're launching on Solana, okay, the first thing is which launchpad are we going to do? Okay, this is the type of art that I want. What's the third thing you look for? Okay, marketing. There's not going to be a question of who you kind of go for that. Bell Studios aims to be that forefront. Okay, so we've got the launchpad, we've got the art figured out. We got to hit up Bell Studios now for our marketing. And so it's not about making money right now for me. I was lucky enough to make a decent income while the market was good. I made, proper money decisions, not even within crypto, just like property, stuff like that. And so for right now, I'm focused on building out Bell Studios and making it the marketing agency of Web3 in general, if that makes sense. So
you basically made most of your income during the mint season and the years before, and doing the giveaways and stuff like that.
There's still projects right now that are building that need external marketing. There's still people that for some reason, hey, shout out to you guys, credit to the people that want to mint in this current condition. You guys are bold, but there are people that want to do it. And some of these projects have good products. We're working with a couple projects within Bell Studios, one being Holyverse. They're a comic book project, and I'm a big fan of what they've set on our spaces and stuff like that. So there are projects here right now that are planning to mint that need external marketing and stuff. So yeah.
Who's your biggest competitor, the Bell Studios? Like you're saying you're gonna be the best one. You're probably like looking at someone else too.
I don't think so. I think that's why, like, I don't know. Like, I've worked with a few marketing agencies. There's quite a few. I don't think we're in competitive of anybody. I think at the end of the day, I'm saying that Bell Studios, okay, is going to be number one or the forefront for Web3, marketing. But at the end of the day, there's enough to go around. There's no competition. Maybe right now it's a little tough, but when this stuff turns around, everybody's going to eat, in marketing. So there's never going to be this form of like, well, we got to beat these guys. Like, no, if they're doing great, they're doing great. Like, there's more than enough to eat. Let's collab some way, right? That's how I look at it. So no, I wouldn't even say that's not even on my radar. I'm focused on Bell Studios, not what's kind of around it.
All right, so let's talk more specifically about crypto. Like, how are your bags? Like, what do you hold right now? What projects do you really, really like?
One thing I do want to tell you, this would have been good for like what people don't know about me, is I have zero crypto experience before NFTs. I learned a lot of my crypto knowledge through NFTs, which a lot of people will say, okay, so you don't know what you're talking about, which is fine. But my biggest bags, I still have a good bag of Solana. I did staple up, kind of capitulated around like 20 Sol, like $20. But I still have a decent bag of Solana. I have my DGOD. I don't think people know, but transparently, I did sell one of my DGODs, the night that they had announced that they're bridging to Ethereum. That had nothing to do with the Ethereum. I just thought that was a top for a little bit, but I was wrong because now I sold it for $470. They're at $550. That's how she goes. There's some other bags. Noti Gang, of course. I gotta plug my Noti Gangsters. I still have my Stoned Ape. I have an OK Bear that I'm holding in the ledger, and Degen Fat Cats. Those are probably my biggest bags right now.
Did you have the coin flip before, or did you just buy into the Fat Cats?
Oh, dude, that's a painful story. Is because so my buddy Brody, who's also a founder of Bell Studios and Noti Gang with me, my longest friend within Web3, he was a mod from the very start in Degen Coin Flip, right? And I remember him telling me way back, it's like December, he's like, dude, I think like this is kind of like a new thing. Like, have you ever seen a casino that's like on chain? And I'm like, I don't get it. And I was like, but you know what? I'll mint. It's 0.33 Sol. I'll mint. But they had announced before the mint that they won't be listed on Magic Eden upon sellout. They'll only be listed on Exchange Art because Magic Eden wouldn't list them for some reason. And in my head's like stupid, I was like, oh, that's bearish. Like, what? They're not gonna. We can't trade on Magic Eden because I wasn't thinking long term. I was thinking I want to try and flip this thing for 2 times or something, right?
Yeah.
I didn't mint, and that turned out to be kind of rough just seeing. But Brody had 4 coins, right? So, and he rode those all the way into Fat Cats when they did the stock split essentially. So no. Long story short, I didn't have any coins, but I did pick up cats on secondary.
There's a few of those stories, like for me too, like where you look at the art, you look at like there's something bearish about the company, and you're like, I don't feel like it. Kind of like To be honest, like D-Gods at first, I saw the art and I'm like, they're at 3. They're like, like it's just gods, like
Yeah.
it didn't really like feel with me. And then they started pumping, and then we're like, oh, it's the best art ever, like, hey, it's and then the same thing with the ABCs. I see the art and I'm like, this is so ugly. I don't want to like buy this. And then we find out after it's HGE's project, and then it starts pumping like crazy. Where I talked to someone yesterday where he says like, no man, that art is exactly like Gary V's art, and that's where he started buying 10 of them. He bought 10 of them at like lower than 3, and then they pumped like crazy. And like I didn't make that link.
Hindsight's a bitch, right? It's like the worst thing in this. It's like the worst thing that you can kind of like create in your head is this false, oh, if I would have just hold, or if I would have just sold, like you can't do that. You got to take it off the chin and move on. But same story for me with D-Gods. I remember being on my cross Canada trip. I pulled over 2 mint D-Gods, and then I was like, oh, I don't know, this is ugly. I closed my laptop, got back on the road for 8 hours, and then I was like, oh, it was probably a good thing. Like, okay, they pumped like 1 soul or whatever. And then come January, I faded. I didn't buy my first D-God until August. So I faded all the way until then. So I'm with you on that.
You just gotta have conviction, like you see a project, you're like, yeah, the founders, you're like, it looks good, just like do it, like similar to what you did with CoinFlip. Like, man, I'm gonna mint anyways. Like, I'm talking to Vince, who has like 54 D-Gods. And then he's like, man, I had conviction. I was just buying. And he didn't know. He's like, it could have been a rug. Like it was bullish at the beginning. It was bearish at the beginning, and then it pumped like crazy. But it took 3 months, like, so.
Some people just have big balls, dude. That's it. And like, I don't have those. I maybe have like medium balls, but like even like my buddy Patty, that's in Bell Studios, he's been holding 12 or 11, I can't remember, D-Gods all the way from mint. Like, bro, if I would have seen D-Gods touch 50, like back in whenever it was, April or March, bro, I would have been listing those left, right, and center. Some people are just able to hold and convict themselves. It's pretty wild.
I watch every Solana YouTuber, and they were talking, like Cody was talking about, Jersey was talking about, Grish was talking about. They were like, buy a D-God. It was at 86 or something. And then like they were telling everyone, and I knew it was gonna pump. I made a video about it too. It was like, it's gonna pump, and then it pumped to like 400. I was like, shit, but I didn't have the funds then. I didn't have like 80, because it was still expensive. The soul was pretty expensive. Like,
yeah.
So you even when I saw Famous Fox at like 3, I was like, man, I know this project is good. It's gonna pump. It went from 3 to like 6, but it was at the point where like soul was like at 160, 200. So it was still like, hey, you're putting in like $1,000 on a picture of a fox. Like you have to be really into it. Like. Hindsight again. Hindsight is 2020. But so you have one bear.
I have one bear.
Any thoughts about buying more in this market right now?
You're trying to show me, eh? No.
I don't have to show nothing. You're in the Discord right now. You know exactly about it.
No, I'm kidding. The thing about bears is that I minted. Fuck it. I'll admit it or whatever. I think I said it once. I minted. I sold for 14. Like 10 minutes later. Well, I woke up the next day, seen it at 200, and I'm like, okay, I did close the laptop for right now. It is what it is. Like, I can't believe it. And I just left it for a while. It felt like the founders had it felt like they knew what they were doing, but they didn't expect it to blow up like this. And so now they're under pressure, and they're like, oh my God, everybody's looking at us. So I think that folded them a little bit. But I picked up my bear back in November, my green one or whatever. It's got the mime shirt on and everything to fit my Web 2, like mime content. And I just like kind of the moves with IMG and stuff like that. And it felt like they had their pieces together a little bit more. I was seeing Kai's, like even on the timeline, I was checking the Discord. It felt like the pieces were coming together a little bit. And personally, OK Bears, I think like if we're thinking like IP and branding, like they are like the forefront for that for Solana, in my opinion. Like I just... Other than Utes, but Utes is gone now. Utes is going to Polygon. So I think OK Bears, I think they're still heavily undervalued. So with that being said, I might have to pick up another. But I'm degenning too much on these raffles, man. I gotta stop. It's brutal.
Yeah, that's what I was like gonna ask you later. Like, how do you do all these gambling things? Like you must be losing a lot of money. Is there somehow like it's probably funded a bit by Oak Paradise, but like. I'm just curious how you do all that. You know, like is it for content creating, like just for
Yeah,
YouTube and stuff?
yeah. You know what? I gamble a lot in the summer, and then I was taking some really bad losses like around October, and I was like going back and kind of like checking the statistics of my financials of what I was losing, and I was like, oh man, that's like makes me feel sick, you know? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop gambling for a little bit. So I stopped, and then we came up with the idea of doing these like gambling streams and content and stuff like that. And so I made it like kind of a pact with myself that okay, I'll do the like I can gamble, I'll do these streams and film videos, but I'm not gonna gamble on leisure on my own time. So I haven't really ran slots on my own time and stuff like that, but I've of kind of like going heavy on these famous Fox raffles. You know, you hit that one win, you get that dopamine, that adrenaline, you want to win more. You know, it's kind of a what do they say with gambling? There's no losers, just quitters. No, I'm kidding. Like, yeah, I don't know. I've had good wins. I've had some bad L's. I mean, the past stream, I got rinsed. The past recording, I got rinsed. But the recording before that, we ran 2K to 13K in a matter of like, I don't know, 10 minutes. So you just got to be careful. Gamble within your limits. I don't know. That's what I've been doing.
What are your thoughts on like the D-Gods move? You think that's bearish or bullish? And because I know you're a Solana maxi.
I think it makes sense for D-Gods to Ethereum. It makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does still, maybe this is me just being petty, it does still feel like quitter's mentality a little bit. Not as much, but I respect Frank kind of as a businessman. And at the end of the day, he doesn't care about which chain. He cares about his community and his holders, and he wants to make them money as well as himself, right? And do this for a living. So I think it's respectable. I think them going to ETH, I think it's pretty bullish as well. I don't see how this could be bearish in any terms other than these non-holders that are hating on the move kind of. But yeah, it is sad. It's bittersweet, right? Because I have one D-God. I have a feeling that they'll pump on ETH. Okay, cool, the money, but I would have rather D-Gods continue building on Solana. So it's kind of like bittersweet.
Do you have the same sentiment about the Utes moving to Polygon? I think it's more of a money move, I guess.
Anybody that's saying that it wasn't a money first move is just kind of delusional. Like they try to make up this narrative of like, oh, but look at, Nike's doing this thing on Polygon and like all these brands are working with Polygon, right? But it's like, okay, but how does that reflect the chain right now? You know, like what are Utes going to do better on Polygon that they couldn't do on Sol? I just fail to see that. And so you mix in the equation of like that, what is it, $5 million grant. Okay, so Frank can either continue building on Sol or take that 5 million, go to Polygon. Okay, like at the end of the day, that's good business for Frank. You know, it makes sense. But as for holders in the community, I just fail to see how that's like better than just remaining on Sol and building on Sol. I still hold a Ute as well, though.
Any thoughts about selling that before it moves?
I've had some thoughts. I've brought it up a few times, but I don't know. I want to get a little bit more thought for right now, I think. The founder of Polygon actually followed me. We were DMing back and forth. You said I'm a Solana maxi. I would say I am pretty maxi, but I'm also like business maxi. So if it makes sense to be chain agnostic for Bell Studios, then I'll do whatever it takes. Bell Studios comes first, right? It's not about my petty thoughts, right? So I'm opening to dabbling in ETH, at least marketing wise, and Polygon, and trying to understand both chains for my business.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to take the number one spot in Solana?
I like looking at founders when I think of like projects, right? And seeing how they communicate and how they conduct business and how they run their projects, right? And so someone I'm a really big fan of at the moment is Carlos from Jelly Rascals. I've liked how he's carried himself. I like the way he's communicated with his community and how convicted he is in himself, in his community, or in his project. So I'd like to say, Jelly Rascals are a top pick for me right now. I think if PFO from Stoned Ape Crew can just be on spaces more, be more communicative, and just show face more on Twitter, I think Stoned Ape Crew has all the pieces. It's just they need better marketing. They need to market themselves as founders better. And I think if they can figure out how to do that, I think they're also a top prospect. OK Bears, Famous Fox. I can't nail it down to one, but those are all top picks. Tayo, Soulpart Tom just sold out pilots. We love to see it. So those are all top picks for me.
Who would you want to see on the episode? Like who you want to know more about?
Referrals, I can definitely hook you up with some of the people that are kind of in my network, in my circle. So I can give those to you after. But someone I'd like to see on your show, this one might be tough because he's been AFK, but you're super invested in OK Bears in the community, right? Have you had Nate Rivers? I would love to see Nate Rivers on here.
Yeah, so Head Sauce said the same thing. I DM'd him, but he hasn't answered yet. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
All right, ciao, man. Go Habs, go. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like and the subscribe button. And use this link to watch the next episode. Peace.